What if a secret document leaked directly from the Vatican revealed the three-step formula that all religions use to control you? Today, I'm going to reveal that formula to you, step by step. This isn't a conspiracy theory. It's the psychological playbook that's been used for millennia. And the third step is so simple and shocking that it will forever change how you see every institution of power. Let's start with the premise that brought you here, that religion was invented to control you. It's a powerful and seductive idea. It paints a picture of a few cunning priests or kings sitting in a dark room thousands of years ago, engineering the ultimate tool for mass subjugation. They create an all-seeing God, an afterlife that rewards obedience and punishes rebellion, and a set of rules that, coincidentally, reinforce their own power. It's a simple, elegant, and perfectly logical explanation for the world we live in. It explains the wars, the wealth of the Vatican, the fanaticism, and the seemingly irrational behavior of millions. You feel like you've seen through the greatest scam in human history. And in a way, you're right. That mechanism of control exists, but you're asking the wrong question. The question isn't who invented religion, but why did we so eagerly buy it? Isn't it strange that this same fundamental need to believe appears in every single human culture, even those that never had contact with one another? It's as if the human mind is the soil and the seeds of religion always find it fertile no matter where on earth we are. The real mystery isn't in those who sell the faith, but in us, in what makes us such desperate buyers. The truth is, religion wasn't invented in a temple or a palace. It was born in the darkness of the savannah, born of fear and evolutionary necessity. Imagine an early human. Every rustle in the bushes could be a lion. Every unknown sound in the night could mean death. In this world, survival depended on one key cognitive skill: agency detection. It was better to assume a predator was behind the rustle 100 times and be wrong than to assume it was just the wind once and be eaten. Our brains evolved to become hyperactive agency detectors, to see intent and consciousness even where there is none. This mechanism, which scientists call the Hyperactive Agency Detection Device, HADD, is the first pillar of what would later become religion. We started seeing agency everywhere, in the lightning strike, the flood, the plague, the sun rising every morning. These weren't random events. There had to be a will, an intent behind them. We didn't invent gods. Our brains began to perceive them as the logical explanation for a world we couldn't understand. This wasn't a conspiracy for control. It was a coping mechanism for reality. It was our survival's operating system. Here's the terrifying truth. The elites didn't have to build a prison for you. They discovered you were already born inside one, the cage of your own mind, which desperately seeks patterns and agency. All they had to do was hand you the key to that cage, call it salvation, and charge you a fee to use it. This leads us to the second stage of the formula, something far more important than personal belief. Once you have groups of people whose brains are wired to believe in unseen forces, you face another fundamental evolutionary problem, the problem of cooperation. As social animals, we need to trust each other to survive. But trust has a limit. You can trust your immediate family, maybe your tribe of a few dozen people, because you know them personally. But how do you build a city? How do you create a nation? How do you convince thousands of strangers not to cheat, steal from, or kill each other? You could use force, create a police state, but that's incredibly expensive and unstable. There's a much more elegant solution. What if there was an invisible policeman watching your every move, 24 hours a day, even when no one else is looking? What if that policeman could read your thoughts and would judge you not just for your actions, but for your intentions? That idea is the most powerful large-scale trust-building technology ever conceived. So what's more powerful? A God that demands obedience, or a God that makes 1,000 strangers trust each other enough to build a civilization? You see, religion didn't start as a tool of control imposed by elites. It started as a tool of cooperation that allowed groups of believers to outcompete and outsurvive groups of non-believers. Those groups that developed a belief in powerful, moralizing big gods were able to form larger, more stable societies. They defeated and absorbed other groups. This wasn't a conscious choice. It was a process of cultural natural selection. Religion was the social glue long before it was the iron fist. The problem is, any tool that can bind people together can also be used to divide and control them. The rulers and priests who came later didn't invent this mechanism. They inherited it. They found a powerful tool lying on the ground and realized that whoever wielded it could shape the world. We think the formula is about control over people, but what if its real hidden power was about creating control between people? What if religion wasn't a chain forced on us from above, but an operating system we installed ourselves to stop killing each other? This perspective changes everything. We stop being victims of a conspiracy and become participants in an evolutionary process. It's terrifying because it takes away our simple enemy, but it's also liberating because it gives us the agency to understand the system from within. Think about it. The claim in the title that there's a secret formula used by the Vatican and others is true, but not in the way we think. It assumes a single brilliant inventor. But what if I told you this formula was discovered independently, time and time again, all over the world? This is a phenomenon known as convergent evolution. Dolphins and sharks have similar streamlined body shapes, not because one copied the other, but because they both faced the same problem: how to move efficiently through water. In the same way, religions across the globe, from ancient Egypt to the Aztec Empire, from Hinduism in India to Christianity in the Middle East, independently developed strikingly similar features. Nearly every major religion has a priesthood, a specialized class of intermediaries between the divine and the common people. They have rituals which are repetitive symbolic actions that reinforce group cohesion. They have sacred texts that codify the myths and laws. They have the promise of an afterlife with rewards and punishments, which is the ultimate enforcement mechanism. If this formula was invented in one place, say the Middle East, why do we find echoes of it in the Amazon rainforest, the deserts of Australia, and the ancient kingdoms of Africa long before these cultures had any contact? The answer is simple and profound. It's not an invention, it's a solution. It's the most effective solution ever discovered for the problem of building a large, stable human society. This brings us to the third and final stage, the stage where the organized religion we recognize today is born. This is the stage of institutionalization. As societies grow larger and more complex, these organic belief systems that served as social glue become an incredibly valuable resource. He who controls the belief system controls the population. It's at this moment that the primal evolutionary impulse gets hijacked. A priest class and a ruling class form an alliance. The myths are written down and standardized, eliminating competing versions. Rituals become mandatory. The morality that was once a bottom-up mechanism for promoting cooperation is codified into divine law, which often, magically, supports the interests of the ruling class. This is the moment we recognize as the invention of religion for control. But it's not an act of creation from nothing. It is an act of hostile takeover. It's like someone discovering a river that flows naturally and nourishes an entire valley, and then building a dam across it to control the flow of water and charge everyone downstream for its use. The Vatican, and every other powerful religious hierarchy, is not the inventor of the river. It is the owner of the dam. So the supposed Vatican leak isn't the revelation of a secret conspiracy document. It's the realization that the Vatican and every other powerful religious institution is simply the most successful franchise of a business model that has existed since the dawn of humanity. They didn't invent fire. They just learned how to sell it, package it, and distribute it on a mass scale better than anyone else. Their genius wasn't in creating the formula, but in perfecting it, monopolizing it, and convincing billions that theirs is the only source of water available. And so we arrive at the end of our journey, at the point where we must invert the initial premise. We started with the simple, angry idea. Religion was invented by them to control us. This is a victim's narrative. It gives us a sense of moral superiority, but leaves us powerless. The real story is far more complex and far more disturbing. We've discovered that the foundations of religion are not in ancient scrolls, but in the wiring of our own brains. Our evolutionary bias to see agency everywhere made us believers. We discovered that religion was not originally a tool of oppression, but a breakthrough technology for cooperation that allowed our ancestors to build civilizations. And finally, we saw how that naturally occurring system was hijacked and institutionalized, turned into the massive empires of control we know today. So what is the three-step formula I mentioned at the beginning? It is not a secret plan locked in a Vatican vault. It is the evolutionary process that plays out before our very eyes. Step 1. Exploit an inherent need. Identify a deep-seated human trait, in this case our need for meaning and our agency detection bias. Step 2. Provide a structure. Create a system, a mythology, rituals, a community that services that need and unites people under a common purpose, making the group stronger. Step 3. Institutionalize and monopolize. Formalize that system. Create a hierarchy to manage it, and eliminate the competition by claiming your version is the one true path. This formula is everywhere. It's not just religion. It's political ideologies, national identities, even powerful consumer brands. Any system that demands your loyalty and shapes your worldview uses a variation of this same ancient formula. The final awakening, the ultimate wake up now, isn't about rejecting one religion for another, or even for atheism. It's about understanding the mechanism of belief itself within your own mind. It's about recognizing when your innate need for meaning is being exploited. It's about questioning any story that offers simple answers and clear enemies. The control isn't in the book they hand you or the building they invite you into. The control is in your unexamined willingness to believe. The formula wasn't created to control you. The formula is you. Now you understand the universal formula. But how was this psychological blueprint perfected and applied to the most influential book in human history? The most damaging lies in the Bible are not the talking snakes or the global floods. Those are just distractions. The real traps are the three invisible deceptions that were built around the text to control not what you think, but how you think. If you're ready to see the intellectual cages you never knew you were in, click the video on your screen right now.